I'll first start giving you a bit of an introduction to Paxman. So we are a family business, and we manufacture a medical device which helps prevent, minimise and promotes hair regrowth for people going through chemotherapy. As I mentioned, we are a family, started out as a family business, and that was all down to my beautiful late mum when she sadly lost all of her hair when she was going through her treatment for breast cancer. And my dad, Glenn Paxman, who's our founder and chairman, already with an understanding of refrigeration, decided that he wanted to make something work, because my mum had used scalp cooling, an older primitive type, which hadn't worked. So he had that light bulb moment of wanting to, to make a difference, because saw just how distressing it was for my mum. We developed the Paxman scalp cooling system, and now in 2021 we are the global leaders of scalp cooling. We're distributing to over 60 countries worldwide. Rich, my brother, is our CEO. I'm now Director of Training and Strategic Initiatives. And everything that we do is in my mum's memory, because sadly she died from her cancer aged only 44 in 2000. But her legacy lives on with every single person that we helped, and we help hundreds of thousands of people every year now, and we're incredibly proud to do that, all in her legacy and here in Huddersfield. So scalp cooling works by we're cooling the scalp for a period of time before, during and after you actually have the infusion of chemotherapy. And what happens is the chemotherapy targets all rapidly dividing cells in the body. A cancerous tumour is a rapidly dividing cell, but unfortunately that chemotherapy cannot differentiate between a good healthy cell or a nasty cancerous cell. So therefore it targets it all. And so after about 2 weeks after your first chemotherapy, this is when your hair begins to fall out, because your hair is your second fastest dividing cell in the body. 90% of the time it's in its active growth phase, which is its anagen phase. So as I say, this is why you do actually lose your hair. So quite simply, what we're doing by cooling the scalp, there's a couple of mechanisms of how it works. First of all is vasoconstriction. So we are taking the scalp down. Your average scalp temperature is about 37 degrees. Now we need to take it down to a temperature between 18 to 22. Lots of people think we're freezing the head, but we're not. We're taking it to a temperature of about 18 to 22. And what happens at that temperature is vasoconstriction first of all. So it limits the blood flow down to about 20 to 40%. So that means that less chemotherapeutic drug is actually getting to those hair follicles. What we've also seen, and we've discovered in our world's first scalp cooling lab at Huddersfield University, is we've also discovered that if you cool the cells to that temperature around 18 to 22 degrees, the metabolic rate of that cell is reduced. So in other words, it stops rapidly dividing. So again, less chemotherapeutic drug uptake is lessened. So there's lots of other mechanisms as well. It's thought that we're also reducing the drug cytotoxicity at temperatures as well. But in a very simple term, that's actually how the mechanisms of how it's working. So we're protecting those hair follicles from the adjuvant effects of the chemotherapy. And you wear the cap for at least 30 to 45 minutes before the chemotherapy. Then you wear it during the infusion, and then you wear it for a maximum of 90 minutes afterwards as well. So Paxman and Laura Crane have been working together for a number of years, and Paxman have always supported Laura Crane by fundraising, but we've always wanted to work together, and we recognise that there is actually a gap a gap of people who are getting access to scalp cooling, and that is teenagers and young adults. So traditionally, scalp cooling is available in over 98% of NHS hospitals in the UK, but that's just in the adult unit. And here in the UK we have over 24 teenage and young adult units, and there are certain people who actually are applicable. Fortunately, you can have breast cancer at 18 years old, but you're not being treated on the adult unit, so therefore you're not getting access to the treatment. We also recognise that actually units borrowing a system isn't always viable, because then that means that someone in the adult unit isn't getting access, but also they might have a lack of training. And one area that's really key with scalp cooling is effectiveness in the actual protocols and the use and the cap fitting. And then the third final thing is that we wouldn't sell a system to a teenage and young adult, because the likelihood and the times that they use it throughout a year can be very few and far between. So ethically, we wouldn't want to do that. So we recognised together that there was this gap, and we wanted to be able to help people and collaboratively do this. So we're so proud that together we are now offering scalp cooling free of charge to all teenage and young adult units in the UK. And it's a really special bespoke way that we're doing this. So instead of a unit being sat or a scalp cooling system being sat in a unit not being used, we will supply a system on a basis of when they actually require and when they have an applicable patient. So they fill out a request form upon initial sign up. If they want to have take benefit from this, we will provide them with all of the literature that's required. We will have them go through the full training of how to fit the cap, how to use the system. And then once they have an applicable patient, they will send us a request form, of which then we will deliver a system which is branded specifically with Laura Crane and Paxman as well. So it gets the Laura Crane name out there and really highlights this fantastic partnership that we've got. They will then get to use that system. We also deliver an individual cap for that particular patient, because when we did a lot of the research and development, we found that teenagers and young adults would prefer to have their own individual cap. So they get a full package of a tote bag with an individual cap, and then they also get all of the hair care items that they require and the items that they require for the treatment as well. And Laura Crane have fantastically enabled to get some funding so that each individual patient actually receives their own tablet to keep forever. And that helps them with mindfulness, it helps them with distraction, but it also links up and allows them to be in contact with people also going through treatment, because we know that isolation is a big issue. So all in all, this is a wonderful package that we've put together, but the main thing is that it is free of charge. It doesn't cost the trust any money, it doesn't cost the patients any money. It's our way of collaboratively giving back and making sure that teenagers and young adults get access to scalp cooling and have the opportunity to retain their hair, control, privacy and empowerment during their treatment.